On this video class, we're going to be covering how to get your titles, how to get promoted. Of course, a new agent just getting started is working towards getting to that position of field trainer, then going on to senior field trainer, and then on to sales director, which is the place everyone wants to get to as quickly as possible. So that's what this video class is going to focus on: field trainer, senior field trainer, and sales director. And mostly what we're going to do here is go over the technical aspects, so to speak, of what it takes to get qualified. When you think about getting promoted in most companies, it's based on a lot of variables. Do people like you? How long have you been there? What is your educational background? And here, none of those things matter. This is truly an equal opportunity. Whether you're older, whether you're younger, whether you have an education, whether you've only graduated from high school, some people have a master's degree, all of that doesn't matter. What matters is, do you have the exact qualifications that the computer is asking for? So who promotes you? The computer. Okay, so let's get started. And one of the things I highly recommend is that you print off your compensation plan overview booklet. So if you go into your back office under the area where all the reports and information for commissions is, you want to print that booklet off because it will give you a chart. It'll show you specifically what it takes to achieve each position within the compensation plan. And of course, when it comes to strategy, when it comes to figuring out the right ways to build your organization, one of the things that'll really help you is the structure of video. You'll want to watch that. And also a report that you'll want to be very familiar with is your organizational structure report, because that's going to show you, are you structured properly to get the right title? Because it's not just volume, and sometimes people just focus on the volume that's necessary, but the structure is equally as important because you need both to be able to get promoted. So the strategy part, you're gonna learn more about that going through your structure video, also going out and attending Secrets of Success trainings, working with trainers. They'll go over strategies and techniques and ways for you to move up quicker. And also the folks that are your leaders above you, your sales directors, your regional sales directors, all the way up to vice presidents, so forth. Those leaders can also help and guide you to getting promoted the right way. But let's give you the technical components of this process. So you're starting out and you're an agent. You want to get to field trainer. So here's how this is going to work. You're getting started. First thing you need to do to be a field trainer is you've got to have 2 personally sponsored active agents. Of course, you've got to be active yourself, and I'm sure you're on the protection plan membership, which of course makes you active at all times to earn all your team bonuses and commissions. But you've got to have 2 personally sponsored active agents. And that's why a form that you should be utilizing when you first get started is your 3 months to sales director form, because that form kind of gives you a guideline of what you need to do to be structured properly. So you're going to need also 2 teams and 2 individual teams, and each one of those teams has to have a minimum of $400 on each one of those teams. And you have to have a total of $1,600 from everywhere on your team. Now, these 2 personally sponsored active agents can be anywhere on your team. They don't have to be in 2 separate teams. And as we go along here, it's possible as you're working with your leaders above you, they may potentially put a person underneath you. We have a program called the Sponsor Placement Program, and it's possible they will do that. It's not definite they'll do it. The Sponsor Placement Program, and when you watch the video for that, one of the things that it'll make clear is that program, the Sponsor Placement Program, is designed to help you, the agent, to build their business. So it's not necessarily to be placing people under other people so that their business gets built. They may get some benefits here or there, but it's for you, the agent, to build your business correctly. So it is possible that somebody may get placed underneath you, but I wouldn't sit around and rely on that in any way, shape, or form. You've got to think about, I got to go out and do these qualifications to get promoted. So if you have $1,600 in total volume, You've got 2 personally sponsored active agents. You've got 2 teams, each with a minimum of $400 in volume in each. You have now achieved the position of field trainer. And that's obviously the first step. Then let's move on to senior field trainer. So as we move over here, what goes up? Well, the volume that you need. Instead of $1,600 in volume, now you need $5,000 in volume. You still only need 2 personally sponsored active agents, so you got to maintain that at least. Hopefully you're bringing on some more people in that, but that's the minimum requirement. You need still 2 teams, and instead of $400 in volume in each, now you need $500 in volume in each one of those teams. That's minimum. But the biggest difference here, going from field trainer to senior field trainer, in addition to the increased volume, is now you've got to have other titles on your team. Meaning you've got to help other people on your team and develop them into field trainers. And that's one of the most important things you can understand about this business. You know, oftentimes people focus on themselves and what they're earning and what they're doing, and that's understandable. But really, to build a successful business, one that's stable and solid, it's going to last long term, is to work with your people, is to develop your people, is to help them get promoted and to help them to earn money. Because if you got people on your team who are excited and they're moving up and they're earning money, well, what is that going to do? Motivate them to do more, which is going to do what? Push you up. So I always focus throughout my career on helping my people earn money, on helping my people get promoted, doing everything I can for them. And then what happens? By default, I get promoted and I earn more money. So keep in mind here, that's where your responsibility is now, to help others get promoted. So you've got to have 2 field trainers on your team. They could be anywhere on your team, and one of those field trainers has to be in what we call your personal lineage. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that you have to be the originator of that organization. So, as an example, you go out and you personally sponsor somebody. So let's just say this is you, and you go out and personally sponsor somebody. Well, it could be that person that is your field trainer, but it may be they go out and sponsor a couple of people, and maybe this person goes out and sponsors somebody, and then this person becomes a field trainer. So it doesn't have to necessarily be the person you sponsor, but it has to be connected to them. It has to originate with you. You have to be the one that introduced them, and you have to be the one that enrolled them and somewhere connected to them. Because as I mentioned, it's possible that somebody above you could place an individual underneath you, and as that person gets other people and maybe they're developing and they start getting promoted, that you can use some of those titles, but you can't use them solely. So, for instance, you might have somebody that was placed underneath you, and maybe there's a field trainer in that organization. You can use one of them, but one of them has to be your lineage. And oftentimes, 2 of them will be your lineage, because you're working to get promoted as quickly as possible, and you're not waiting around per se for somebody to be placed underneath you. So if you do those things, you will then be a senior field trainer. Now let's move on to sales director. And sales director, obviously the place you want to get to as quickly as possible. This is really what we call the money spot in our compensation plan, because there's no greater increase in terms of percentage of commission paid out than at this spot. So of course, if you're a regional sales director, executive sales director, vice president and beyond, you'll be earning more money because of the higher position you have. But in terms of how much you increase from one position to the next, sales director is the place to be. And oftentimes, as people get to sales director, this is where they find themselves being in a position financially to transition to make this more of a full-time income, if that's what they so choose to do. So let's go over what it takes to be a sales director. So over here, you're working, building your business, but now instead of $5,000 in volume, you need $10,000 in volume. So that's total team volume throughout your team. Now, instead of having 2 personally sponsored active agents, you've got to have 3 personally sponsored active agents. Instead of having 2 teams, now you've got to have 3 teams, and each one of those teams has to have a minimum of $1,000 in volume. You also have to have now 3 field trainers somewhere on your team. So these 3 personally sponsored active agents and the 3 field trainers could be anyone on your team, but 2 of the field trainers must be personal lineage. Back to this example over here. They have to be personally somewhere enrolled by you. It started with you. It originated with you and then led to an individual that became a field trainer. So 2 of the field trainers to become a sales director have to be your personal lineage. And if you do this, you get to the position of sales director. And once again, just like you see it, that's how the computer sees it. That's why I say it has nothing to do with how long you've been there or what you used to do. None of those things matter, and that's what you got to love about this opportunity, because anyone from anywhere, regardless of their past, regardless of any other things, there's no excuses here, right? It is what it is. See, if other people are doing it, you know what that means for sure? It can be done. And if it can be done, then the next question is, when are you going to do it? So this is how you get started. This is how you work in relation to becoming a field trainer, becoming a senior field trainer, and becoming a sales director. Now keep in mind, these promotions right here have to be done within 1 month, meaning within the volume month. So for instance, if you're in the volume month of February, you gotta qualify for sure in the volume month of February, because it starts over in the month of March. Everything you did in February is for February. And so a new month begins in March. You would then have to do all those qualifications again in March. However, you also can get promoted on a weekly basis. So you don't have to wait till the month ends, meaning that you could go out in 1 week and do 1,600 in volume, have 2 personally sponsored active agents, have 2 teams with 400 in each, and you would be a field trainer. You could do that in a week and start getting paid at the higher rate the following week. So we have so many weeks during the month, could be 4 weeks, could be 5. You can get promoted in any one of those weeks, but just keep in mind that ultimately to get promoted, it all has to happen in the same volume month. So that's how it works. That's from agent up to field trainer to senior field trainer and sales director. Let's go to work. Let's get promoted as quickly as possible, because of course we want to get you to that sales director position and start seeing you earn the income that you desire.